It was one of those cold, gray mornings when life feels heavier than usual. The city was awake but lifeless, cars passing, faces blank, and the sound of rain softly tapping against the pavement. Inside a small corner cafe called the Morning Cup, a young waitress named Lila was wiping down tables, trying to fight the ache in her heart that had become too familiar. Her world had been filled with struggle, working double shifts to pay off her mother's medical bills, skipping meals to save money, and pretending to smile at customers even when tears burned behind her eyes. She had grown used to being invisible, just another waitress in a red uniform, serving strangers who never even remembered her name. Before we continue this emotional story, take a moment. If you believe that kindness can change lives and second chances still exist in this world, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Every click spreads a little more hope. That morning, as Lila stepped outside to dump the trash, she saw an old man struggling across the wet sidewalk, clutching two heavy brown suitcases. His gray hair was soaked, his hands trembling as he tried to balance himself. People walked past him without even glancing his way, each too busy with their phones or their own lives. Something inside Lila couldn't ignore it. Without thinking twice, she ran toward him, holding an umbrella over his head. The old man looked up, startled, his glasses slipping down his nose. "Sir, let me help you," she said softly, taking one of the bags from his shaking hand. He tried to protest, but she insisted, guiding him carefully to a bench outside the cafe. She went inside, brought him a cup of hot coffee, and refused to let him pay for it. As he sipped, his eyes filled with quiet gratitude. Lila didn't ask who he was or why he was out there alone, she just smiled, the kind of genuine smile that comes from a good heart. Before leaving, the old man held her hand and said, "You remind me of my daughter. The world still has kind souls like you." Then he walked away, slowly disappearing into the city crowd. Lila didn't think much of it afterward. She went back to work, continued her shift, and by closing time, she was just tired again. The next morning started like any other, same coffee smell, same sound of cups clinking. But something strange happened around 9 a.m. Four tall men in black suits stepped into the cafe. They looked like bodyguards, broad shoulders, serious faces, and earpieces in their ears. The chatter in the cafe died instantly. Lila froze behind the counter, her heart pounding. One of them looked directly at her and said, "Are you Lila Hart?" Her voice trembled as she nodded. The men gave a small nod to another, who walked outside. A minute later, a long black car pulled up in front of the cafe. Everyone inside stared, whispering. Lila's hands shook. She thought maybe she was in trouble. Had she done something wrong? Was this about the customer who didn't pay yesterday? The suspense was unbearable. Then, the car door opened, and out stepped the same old man she had helped the day before. But this time, he looked completely different. His wet, wrinkled coat was replaced by a perfectly tailored suit. The bodyguards flanked him as he slowly entered the cafe, smiling warmly. Lila's jaw dropped. The old man approached her counter, his eyes kind and glistening. "Miss Lila," he said in a calm, strong voice that commanded respect, "you helped me yesterday when no one else did. I didn't tell you who I was because I wanted to see how people would treat me when they didn't know my name." The entire cafe was silent. Everyone's eyes were fixed on them. "My name," he continued, "is Edward Langston. I own this entire block, including this cafe." Lila couldn't speak. She just stared at him, stunned. The old man smiled again, his eyes full of warmth. "You didn't help me for money or recognition. You helped because that's who you are. And that," he said, "is something the world needs more of." He handed her a small brown envelope. Inside was a check, written in her name, for an amount that made her knees weak. Enough to pay off her mother's hospital bills, and more. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at him. He gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Consider it a thank you, not a reward. You didn't just carry my bags, you carried the weight of kindness in a world that's forgotten it." Then he turned to the cafe manager and said, "Give this young woman the day off. She's done enough work for now." Everyone clapped quietly as the old man and his guards left, leaving behind a silence filled with awe and emotion. When Lila finally sat down, she opened the envelope again, still shaking. It wasn't just the money, it was the handwritten note inside that broke her heart open. It read, Dear Lila, your kindness reminded me of my late daughter, who used to serve coffee in a place just like this. I lost her years ago, but your smile brought her back for a moment. Thank you for that gift. Never stop being who you are. That night, Lila walked home under the same city lights that once made her feel invisible. But now, they shimmered differently, as if the universe itself had noticed her. She went home, hugged her mother, and told her everything. For the first time in a long while, her tears were tears of relief, not pain. In the days that followed, the story spread across the neighborhood. Customers came to the morning cup not just for coffee, but to meet the girl whose kindness changed her life. The cafe became busier, brighter, and somehow warmer. And Lila, still humble as ever, kept serving with the same smile, never forgetting that one small act of compassion can ripple farther than we can imagine. Weeks later, she received another letter from Mr. Langston. Inside was a short message: people forget faces, but they never forget kindness. Keep shining. Attached was an offer for a scholarship in hospitality management, fully paid. The old man wanted her to manage one of his new cafes. And as she stood there reading the letter, with sunlight streaming through the cafe window, Lila realized something beautiful. Sometimes life doesn't reward you right away, but when it does, it comes back multiplied, with love, hope, and grace. If this story touched your heart, please don't scroll away, like this video, share it with someone who believes in goodness, and subscribe to Kindness Thread for more real and emotional stories that remind us what truly matters. Before you go, drop a comment below. Have you ever helped someone without expecting anything in return? Your story might inspire someone else today. Because in the end, kindness doesn't just change others, it changes us.
No, nunca
Nosotros
se
no,
intentó
nosotros
eso.
sí intentamos buscar un punto medio.
No, ¿hasta qué punto? Mencióname una. No, no, a mí yo nunca escuché que digan, no, pero lo bueno que tuvo. Además nunca lo escuché decir, mirá lo bueno que tuvo Cristina, por ejemplo, lo
Estaba
bueno de
hablando de
Perón.
alguien que es extremo. Mentira, yo sí.
Bueno,
Yo tengo algo del MERS que dijo, Perón hizo las cosas bien cuando tenía que hacer.
la discusión entre medios, la verdad es que no creo que no creo que sea muy normal la discusión entre tipos medios en política. No hay una discusión entre un tipo que es neutro, boludo, con un ultra acá. Solamente son los ultra acá con los ultra libertarios o ultra libertarios con gente que no es libertaria o ultra acá que siempre son de los extremos los que buscan la discusión. Es como decir un chabón que es simpatizante de River, boludo, no se va a cagar a puteas con un